But I never believed that because I had this woman who did it first. My mom did it first. She made me understand without question that I could be whatever I wanted to be. Good afternoon. I'm going to take off my sunglasses here. If you have been following me, you know I was hit with some really bad news. If you're new here, first of all, my name is Jody. I had a really cool episode put together, and I was editing away, and it was almost completely done. And I get a call from my mom's friend, and my mom lived in Colorado, 86 years old. She had a stroke, and she had been independent, living on her own in her condo, living a good life, and she survived the stroke and, rushed to the hospital, and her speech was affected and her right side was affected, so she was very weak, but we could understand her with some work with her speaking. And the prognosis at that point, the first few days, was, all right, she's slightly improving. She had great spirits, lots of jokes. My mom was very peppy and positive with cracking jokes with the nurses. And the prognosis was she was going to go to rehab, for 10 days or so, and then kind of figure out what the next steps were, whether if she could walk, go back to her condo, which was on the second floor without an elevator, so that was tricky, or maybe assisted living, or maybe come here. We didn't know, but we were taking it one step at a time. Well, she started to deteriorate. Her speech pattern was really hard to understand, almost unintelligible. The doctors had said that there was more swelling on her brain, which was contributing. They didn't expect it for whatever reason. They checked to see if she had had another stroke. She did not. And she just got worse and worse. Then she aspirated while eating, and food got in her lungs, and she got pneumonia. And she just took a nosedive. And my husband and I and my daughter, we booked very expensive emergency tickets to Colorado and did the whole "I hope we make it before she dies" trip, which I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Having to book tickets the day before to go somewhere, there were nothing but middle seats left when I found these set of flights that seemed to work, that would get us there in the daytime of the Thursday that we were going. And I'm like, I'm not going to stick my 4-year-old in a middle seat, 6 rows back from me. I was not doing that. She would have had a nervous breakdown. I would have had a nervous breakdown, and I already was having a nervous breakdown because my mom is dying, and I'm trying to rush there and see her before she goes. And a friend of mine who was a flight attendant, I called him, and I'm like, will the airline work with me? Because I called the airlines, and they're like, well, you can always see when you get there. And I'm like, no. What really happens? And my friend who's been a flight attendant for like a decade or more, he was like, no, they will not work with you. They're not going to do anything. I've had parents just sob the entire flight long. They will not move other people. Other people have to volunteer. And I understand that, because if you pay good money, why should you have to give up your seats and change everything for someone else? In a perfect world, that would happen. And I'm sure lots of people do or would move. But I was in such an emotional state that I could not fathom getting to the airport and hoping it all worked out, and having to ask people, and if they say no, I just would be a wreck, a puddle of tears. So had to spend more money. I got a later flight, but I got us all sitting together, and we got out there. My flight landed at 8 o'clock at night. This is in Colorado. And the hospital was about 35 minutes away, and we basically were all starving. We just rushed to the hospital because we didn't know she was going to die before I got there. And she didn't. I am so grateful. This big hospital, we couldn't figure out where the front door was. We went in one door, which was locked. I just picked a door. My husband went to park the car. I literally was just ran up there. And it's out of the movies. It's so surreal. This is my life. And I walk in and I see her. She's there with a hospice worker and a nurse, just playing music for her, because the hospice company, which was amazing, didn't want her to ever feel alone. And I just burst into tears because she looked so different. I hadn't seen her in a year and a half. And she was ostensibly gone, Like, she was not being kept alive. She was breathing, she was warm, but there was no responsiveness. There was no hand squeeze. There was no opening of her eyes. There was nothing. But she was alive, and every hospice worker I've ever dealt with, and I've seen a few, my father-in-law and other people who have passed away have said, and statistics, and if you Google it or if you ask ChatGPT, hearing is one of the last things to go. That's what they believe. And I got to talk to my mom. I got to say everything I ever wanted to say. Sometimes our relationship was not the best, and we definitely had friction, and I was able to, and I'm going to get emotional, forgive her and hold her hand and kiss her cheeks, which reminded me of the safety and the warmth that she gave me as a child. And I thanked her for so many life lessons and experiences, because my mom was also an entrepreneur. She had her own business at a travel company for corporate travel agents. A corporate travel agency, and it was in downtown Denver in a skyscraper. And when you're a kid and your mom works at a skyscraper that, the office she had decorated and had employees, like, it's a cool experience, and you look up to your mom. I know I did, and I thought she walked on water, and she was the most beautiful and the smartest and the most capable. And because of that, because of her, I never once believed that I couldn't be anything. In the world that we live in today, and especially back when I was younger, 70s, 80s, 90s, when you're becoming yourself, there's society, people, foes and friends sometimes, that will tell you you can't. Society will tell you that as a woman, you can't do a lot of things. You can't run businesses. You can't be in charge. You can't start something from nothing. That you need to have a master's in business before you can do anything, which I don't. I am college educated, but the society, the world that we are in will tell you you can't, no matter who you are. There's always a bunch of no's and doors that want to be slammed in your face. But more specifically, if you're a woman, and exponentially, if you are a Black woman living in America, society will tell you no. But I never believed that, because I had this woman who did it first. My mom did it first. She made me understand without question that I could be whatever I wanted to be. And I do this and TikTok and public speaking and all the businesses and the things that I've done in my life because of her. I've created women's retreats and expos and women's empowerment events, and strangers will say, well, I don't think I can do this, and I'm not sure, and I don't believe, and I'm afraid. And how do you do that, Jody? How do you believe in yourself? My mom. When from the earliest of early memories you have of your mom, when those memories are of her, she traveled the world, and in the beginning she managed travel agencies. It didn't occur to me that the answer for me professionally would be no. And so I got to thank her for that. It's invaluable. I don't know who I would be if she didn't do those kinds of things.